You know it's a good victory when you got Duncan Robinson talking smack. Bro's out here holding his ear. He's like, I can't hear you. I can't. We gotta give the Celtics their flowers though. They made this series interesting. You know, to be honest, it was getting pretty boring when they were down 0-3. But hey, at least they tried. But in today's video, we'll be breaking down the one defensive scheme that the Miami Heat used on the Boston Celtics that caught them by surprise, and we'll be breaking down the 5 players that stood out in this game against the Celtics. This video is gonna get interesting. If you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that like button. Don't be as dead as the Boston Celtics crowd, and make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. Before we get into the 5 players that stood out on the Miami Heat, we gotta talk about the defensive scheme that they used to practically annihilate the Celtics, and this was a 3-2 zone. They had 3 guys in the paint and 2 guys in the perimeter when they were guarding the Celtics, and the reason they did this was because the Celtics were not a very good 3-point shooting team, especially in this series, and in the first quarter, the Celtics were 0 for 8 from the 3-point line. That is absolutely horrendous. So they kept on doing this defensive scheme, and it just made the Celtics feel even more helpless, and as they continue to miss 3-pointer after 3-pointer, the crowd got quieter and quieter. And after that, let's get right on to the first player that stepped up on the Miami Heat, and this was Caleb Martin. Talk about an amazing game, spreading out the floor, taking some pressure off of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, which wasn't playing too good this game. But Caleb Martin is impressing me, especially the way that he scores on the post-ups. He had a possession where he was being locked up by Al Horford with the shot clock going down, and he made a tough fadeaway jumper that rolled into the net. And even late in the game, he sealed the deal. He hit a 3-point shot, a mid-range jumper, and it was all him. And let's be honest, this game made Caleb Martin the richest man ever. The guy is gonna get a crazy contract, and at this point, we might as well sign his twin brother too. Now let's talk about the second player that stood out on the Miami Heat, and this was Jimmy Butler. Although Jimmy wasn't shooting the ball so good, you could see that he had a fire in his step. He also tweaked his ankle, and I could see him grimacing, but even through that ankle pain, he was being aggressive, way more aggressive than I've seen him in the last couple of games, and he was going at Derek White's fat forehead. But the good thing about Jimmy Butler is that he only had 1 turnover. Whereas Jaylen Brown thinks he's goddamn Kyrie Irving, the guy had 8 turnovers. Jaylen Brown better dribble that ball all summer. And at this point, he's going to be dribbling that ball all the way to Cancun, and I may have to join him as well. I do need a 10, not gonna lie. Now let's talk about the third player that stepped up on the Miami Heat, and this was Kyle Lowry. Goddamn, did this man ever set the tone? The way that he was passing the ball around, pushing it in transition, so the Celtics couldn't set up their half-court defense. This was one of the crucial things in the game that I noticed about Lowry, and he was also putting up threes with no hesitation, and his aggressiveness put some pressure off of Gabe Vincent, knowing that Gabe Vincent had a little bit of an ankle tweak recently. And the fourth player that stepped up on the Miami Heat, you guys are gonna call me crazy, this is Highsmith. This guy deserves his respect. When he came into the game, he set a tone, and he had a crazy play where he stripped Jason Tatum of the ball and had a crazy transition layup. And after the steal by Highsmith, it made the Miami Heat turn it up a notch, and they played even better. And I think it's so good when you have one player that gets a steal in the game and a transition bucket, as it's so contagious, and then everyone else plays defense like that. And I think Highsmith is a reason why that 2-3 zone also worked out. And to end it off, let's talk about the 5th player that stepped up for the Miami Heat. This was hard for me, so let's just break the rules here, okay? Let's talk about more than one player here. We gotta talk about Bam Adebayo. The guy had 7 assists. Although he shot 40% from the field, things happen. You know, some nights you don't have the greatest shooting nights, but I like how Bam pushed till the end. You got Duncan Robinson coming off those high screens that the Celtics failed to even guard. Duncan Robinson was knocking down 3 like friggin' prime Klay Thompson. The guy is back, you know. If Duncan Robinson can play like this in the finals, it will be scary. And then you got my guy Gabe Vincent coming out there in the 3rd quarter and knocking down some crucial 3-pointers to quiet down the Celtics crowd, because that Celtics crowd was bumping in the 3rd quarter because they were coming back. But oh my god, am I ever excited for this finals. I have been wanting this Miami Heat and Nuggets matchup for a while now, and I think this Heat team deserves it. Let's see if they can make history, the first team in NBA to win the NBA championship as an 8th seed. Let me know what you guys think. Who you got in the series, the Nuggets or the Miami Heat? I got the Heat personally, but that's all for me. That's been your boy Mubsy Hoops. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll catch y'all in the next one. So Jason Tatum, you guys lost a series. Is everything good? You still think you're good? Would you call yourself a superstar? I'm top 5. Top 5. When I get a cut, I'm top 5.